Okay, so let's load up Maya to take a look at the mesh that we have, because we need to export the Maya file as an OBG so Mixamo can read it. It doesn't matter if you have the OBG already. You don't need to go through Maya. It's already an OBG, and if you have the FBX, I think Mixamo takes either an OBG or an FBX, as long as it's just a mesh. You don't need it's a mesh and in a T-pose. Okay. Oh, it's actually a rig, so we don't need the rig itself. So I'm just gonna select all the body parts. I think there's a layer already. If you go on display, so if you want to use this specific file, just follow along. You go to channel box, layer, display, and you select the geo layer. You right click, select objects. This will select just the mesh, okay? So, and then you go file. Oh, my mouse. Sorry, guys. File, export, selection. You choose the little box to get the options. Then you're going to have a couple of file types. You drop it down and you go OBG. I'm going to try FBX. I've never tried it FBX. Let's try it, see if it's going to work. FBX, export selection. And I'm going to start getting organized. So on D, I'm going to create my folder. I highly recommend this. So if you want to organize yourself so you don't get lost in the project, I'm going to call it MOBU for Motion Builder, short for Motion Builder. And then maybe character. Maybe another folder for previs. That's for later. Maybe another one for anims. So I'm going to put this character in character because it's just a character by itself. I'm going to call it, let's stick with Maxi, even though it's a guy. So right now in D drive, MOBU, character, we have an FBX with the name Maxi. Now you can open that in Motion Builder. It's just going to reveal a very small size character. Okay, there's no textures. We don't want it too much. I mean, you can if you want to. Actually, he's in an A pose, so we need to correct this before we go to Mixamo. We need to correct it. For some reason, he came in as an A pose, even though the character is in T pose here. So maybe it's better if we export an OBG. So let's export an OBG. It's better because I think the FBX takes some animation. If there's some animation, it might take it into the mesh. So I'll re-export again. Export selection. OBG. Export. Column Maxi. And The effect, I'm not sure if it's gonna do anything. I'll add it. I'll add it in case. Okay. So now I think if we try to open that up in Motion Builder, I'm gonna go new file. Yes. So I'm gonna go file new to get a clean scene. And I'm gonna try to import this obj import. I'm gonna choose options. Yeah, I haven't done this in a while, that's why I'm kind of testing it. And we have nothing. Why? Probably haven't done it in a while. So, okay, that's weird. Is it super small? Is that one? No? Okay, I'm just gonna pause a little. So don't drag and drop. Don't drag and drop. Just go file open in Motion Builder. Thanks to Liam. And open. So you're gonna see your character. That's your OBJ. You can't do much with it right now. It's all in pieces. So let's load up Mixamo. Mixamo. You guys should have an account, I guess. If you don't, it's super quick. Let me see if I remember. Yeah, works. Sign in. Oh, geez. What? Popped up my Google account for some reason. Maybe I clicked on the wrong thing. Okay, so in here, you go in characters, upload character on the top right, and we just drag the OBJ. Okay. D Mobu characters OBJ. Now you just do a visual check if you want. If he's good orientation wise. It's all right. And then this is a super easy step. You just need to put these joints to match the mesh that you have. So chin is right there. Wrist. So the first one is left wrist, so it's going to be on this one, I believe. Yeah, it's the character facing, right? Question? The other file in there, the material, if you have a mesh that has a material in Maya, it actually exports that, so you can actually have the materials back in Motion Builder. Okay, well, let's not worry about that for now. We just need a character inside Motion Builder to apply some mocap on it. Okay, so wrist, elbows. Which one is this? Left? Oh, wait a second. Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. I think it's smart enough to detect by itself which one is left and which one is right, so you don't need to worry too much about it. left elbows right there. My mouse is really bad, so that's why I'm shaking. Okay. Knees, roughly, and groin. Smack in the middle. Okay, so you're set. Next, just takes a minute to rig it. So the advantage of a Mixamo account, you have a bunch of motion capture files you can download on your character. You can also upload a character and just slap on some mocap on it and then download them as well. I'll show you how to do that today. Yay, now he's moving. From a T-pose to this. Next. So right now, you can download the character as a T-pose. Let's do that for now. So it's already rigged. The skeleton is in there. You don't see it, but the skeleton is in there. But if you choose any of this mocap, say you want to walk. What? Okay, you have to go in animations. There you go. So you're able to see the mocap, switch from characters to animations. Okay? And you type in, you select the walk, and it's going to apply it to your character. Okay? That's how you see your character with the mocap. So if you just want to download the T-pose character to bring it in Motionbuilder, just delete the walk and you will go back to T-pose. See on the right hand corner, you could just delete it. So we can download this motion, the T-pose now. Download. You want it in T-pose, right? FBX, you use the default options. Don't change anything. Other stuff is this one's specifically for Unity, so you don't need it. T-pose, not A-pose, the same. So download. Okay, and it's probably in your download folder. Maxi, there we go. So I'm gonna take this, copy, go in D, mobile, character. I'm just gonna replace the existing one because the existing one is useless anyway. Doesn't work. It exports as an A-pose from Maya, so you don't need it. So if we open that up now in Motionbuilder, file open. Yeah, we should have scaled it. It's a bit short. Because right now, if I go in front view, view orthographic producer front, it's like a isometric view in Maya. He's 20 centimeters tall. So we can scale it right now. Actually, let's do that. So you need to select the top. It would have been better if we scaled the OBJ, but you can scale the skeleton right now. It's not a big deal. So if we select the root, the pelvis bone, and if you remember in Maya, there's you can have a similar outliner like in Maya, similar in Motionbuilder. It's called schematic view. So if you go in view, schematic, shortcut is Control W, and you navigate, or if you press A, you will see everything in your scene. Okay? So currently, this is your top bone. This is the pelvis bone. Okay? The hips. Okay, so we can scale that one to make it at least, let's say, 2 meters. That's average. So if you look at the grid in front view, right? It says here front. And you press the scale button here. Right here is all translation, rotation, scale, snapping. Snapping, you probably use it for rotation. Don't worry too much about the other stuff. This one, you might activate it by mistake. So this one, it's actually called object mode. So when you're manipulating objects in Motionbuilder, this is the mode that you need to be on. By mistake, if you press V on the keyboard, it will switch to vertex mode. So you can control the vertex, you can move vertices. So if it stops working for you, the object mode, just look at this icon. It will be something like this. So it should be in object mode or model mode, I believe. Yeah. The other one is pivot. This one, for sure, you're not going to activate it by mistake because it's you need two keyboard shortcuts. But sometimes by mistake, if you press V, it's going to switch. So make sure this one is in model mode. Okay, so we're going to scale this guy. Press scale, and you need to scale globally. So you need to put the mouse right on top of the yellow icon or GUI. So you put the mouse here, and then you scale. Okay, scale globe. You're scaling the whole character. Translation. See if it lines up around 2 meters. Roughly. Yeah, he needs maybe a bit more. Translation. Move it up. Make sure the feet are flush on the grid. This is the 0, 0 in Motionbuilder, the light gray. You will see the number when it says minus 100, 100, minus 200. This is your 0, 0 world, your grid. Okay. So we just make sure that the shoes are flush. You can pan, zoom with these. Or if you switch to Maya, just use the Alt, the usual in Maya. Okay, so now if we switch back to perspective, view, perspective, producer perspective, we get a nice 2 meter character, a normal size. So this is already skinned, right? So if you select any skeleton bone and you rotate, press R for Maya or for Motionbuilder-R. See, it's already skinned. You can already animate it with it, but there's no controlling. So we need to characterize it like we were talking before. Okay. So you can save now. So to able to characterize it, get a control rig on this character. enable to put a control rig on this character, you need to characterize it. The big advantage of Mixamo is when you upload an OBG and it comes back as an FBX, the skeleton is already named user-friendly with Motionbuilder, okay? So you don't need to do a lot of tinkering. You don't need to assign the bones for each control rig part. It's already there. You just need to drag and drop the character on it. That's what we're going to do in 2 seconds. When we get to the Maya part, that part is not so automatic in Maya. We need to assign each bone separately. I'll show you exactly what I mean. So now, in Asset Browser, you can't see it because, let me see if I can. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to mess up my menu a little bit, just so you guys can see the Asset Browser. So this tab, so since you have the screen, you can actually, if you want to see more of the viewport, you can actually take it to the second screen, right? You can put it wherever you want. You can use both screens, so it's going to give you more room in the viewport. But in my case, I have to use one screen so you can see the recording. So in Asset Browser, go in Templates, Characters, and select Character, and just hold and drag to any part of the skeleton. See how it's highlighting green? As soon as it highlights green, not the mesh, the skeleton, okay? As soon as it highlights any bone, just let it go, and you'll get an option called Characterize, okay? Click on it. It will ask you, do you want to do a biped or a quadruped? For this exercise, it's biped. So Liam, that's where, if you decide to do quadruped, dog, that's when you choose. There is some videos how to do that online. I can probably try to find it, but I'll have to do that on the weekend to help you. So now, if you go in the Navigator, think of Navigator is like a group of things in your scene. So you have the camera section, you have the character section, the take section. See the takes here? Right now we only have the Mixamo take, which was brought in automatically from Mixamo. You have shaders, you have a bunch of stuff. So these are sort of group of things grouped together. So right now we just dropped a character. So if you open character, you will see this new character that we just added. If you right click on it, you can rename it Maxi. Right, so this new name, see here, top, as I showed you before, top right, this is the new name of the character. This is the character drop-down menu. If you have more than one, you will see them, all of them here. So what do we mean by characterization? If you double-click on this character, okay, and some settings will show up to the right side. You will see character definition and character setting. Character setting, I'm not gonna touch too much into it because it's super complex and advanced. I only learned like maybe 10% of it anyway. So it's very in-depth. But what I want to show you in character definition is how the skeleton relates to the control rig. Okay, so what you see here in character definition, you go in the base, you will see hips, left leg, all the body parts. Okay, so in here, mapping list, this is where these bones, right, Mixamo, Michael, blah, blah, blah. This is where it gets assigned to the skeleton, okay? So this is your skeleton here, assigned to these, should I say, control rig mapping, okay? And like I said, because Mixamo does that for you, the naming is correct. Because let's say this bone was called pelvis, okay? It's not going to take it. Motionbuilder doesn't take it. You have to actually go in and change the name to hips, so you'll be able to do the drag and drop automatically. You don't have to do any assignation. Okay? So that's the advantage of using Mixamo. It's beneficial. So right now, I'm just going to revert back to if you mess up your layout, you can actually create a custom layout. So let's say for example, you're happy with this layout, okay? You can go layout, create custom, and you could name it whatever you want, my layout. And let's say you mess it up. Let's say this one becomes here, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I need to revert. So if you go on layout, it's going to show up there. Okay? Highly recommended. I would choose to turn off auto update, because every time you mess up, it's going to update your current layout. So just remove that so you don't by mistake keep updating it. Okay? Because right now, if I choose my layout, yeah, it saves it. Okay, so it saves it from the point that you saved the new layout. But let's say, for example, I did mess it up and it's like here. I choose it again. See, it's going to give me back what I wanted. The default layouts are here: editing, scripting, preview. Editing is the best one. It's enough viewport space if you want to use just a single screen. Okay, so back to characterization. Oh, by the way, one small thing that can help you. You can increase the undo number of undos, because by default it gives you like 10 or 20, which is not that much. So if you go in settings, preferences, undo, oh, 10, not even close. You can set it to 50, so it's at least if you do a mistake, you can go back. Okay? Set it to 50, and that's going to be saved every time you load up Motionbuilder. It's going to be 50. Don't worry about the pop-up. It's not a big deal. Okay. So right now we have a character. It's the bones are assigned to the right control rig, but we don't have a control rig yet. So since there's no motion to bake to the control rig, we could just switch to the control rig. Okay. So we have our character source. Right now it's skeleton, which is none. We switch to control rig. Because it's the first time, it will ask you, you want FKIK? Yes. And now we have a control rig. Select move. Body part. See everything up. The reason it's doing this is because you're on full body. It's Motionbuilder has that function that it's called pull. So if you pull on an arm or a leg, it actually takes the other limbs and tries to follow it. So it's not great. There's not a lot of people who do it, use it like this. The better option is up here in character. You have 2 modes of keying. You have more than 2 modes. So you have two modes of keying in Motionbuilder. You have full body. When you switch to this guy and this guy, if you just put the mouse on it, you'll see full body. The other one, full body, no pull. So the difference is, see, it's not pulling anywhere. Even if you try to go further, it doesn't pull the other limbs. So work with this one if you want to key in full body, and work with this one if you just want to key body parts. Okay? So when I say body parts, it means limbs. So left arm, the whole thing is a limb. So if you put a key now, if you press here, key controls, if you press K, it will put a key. The green key means it's a body part. Body part. But the thing is, if you select the clavicle, okay, that key exists too because it's from the clavicle down all the way to the wrist. The fingers is another limb. It's another key. Okay? See, if you select the fingers. By the way, I'm just explaining this to you so you understand how the control rig works. The assignment is not to keyframe or anything. Don't get too confused. I'm just showing you the menu and how everything works. We'll worry about that later. Okay. So back to the keyframing. That's how we keyframe in Motionbuilder. The spine too is a limb. All the spine bones. See, if you select all the spine, they have that key. So that's how you key in body part. If you key in full body, let's say I'm going to go to the next frame. Press K. All the body parts on the control rig have that key. So if you select the arm, so let's select the head, everything has that key. Red key means full body.
So if you hit the K on the root, it's for every body part.
Exactly. If you're in this mode, on the full body mode. Cool? Okay. Okay, one annoying thing, if you, I'm just gonna undo here. Go back to T-pose. If you want to go back to T-pose, just go in full body. And this guy here, stance pose, it just goes back. And you press K. Okay, if you want to get rid of the keys, select the key in the timeline, delete. You can press this one to delete. Yeah, I was saying one annoying thing, if you want to freeze the mesh, so you don't select it every time by mistake, because some people are comfortable selecting the bones or the control rig in the viewport, but sometimes your mouse is off, you select it by mistake. You can actually freeze the mesh, okay? So the best way to do it, instead of selecting each body part, you go in scene. Scene is where all the pieces are, okay? So that's a skeleton. Okay. So I think these are all the meshes. Yeah. Oh, it's quite a bit. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like, oh, maybe it's the face. Okay, doesn't matter. You can select them all. And if you go, oh, you don't see the group. Okay, I'm gonna mess up my menu again. Right beside the asset browser, there's another tab called groups. Okay, so this group is sort of like a quick selection, or if you want a layer in Maya, like a display layer. Okay, so you go in groups, you have what you need selected, you go create. It creates a selection group from that, what you have selected. So now if you deselect, double click on the empty space, it deselects. You select that, it selects the mesh. So if you double click on it, you can rename it. I'm going to name it like mesh or skin. And now you have three options here. You have show, pick. Pick is selection. So now you can't select it by mistake anymore. If you want to select it, you could just put it on, and now it gives you that option again. And remove translation, rotation, scale, because you don't want to move it by mistake. You don't want to offset it from the bones, right? I would remove that. So this helps you in the selection process. Okay, I'm going to revert back. Or maybe editing. Okay, so now we can load some animations on this guy. There's a bunch of mocap already existing in the asset browser. Oh, I think I'm going to keep this here because yeah, I'll keep it here. If you go back to the asset browser, you're going to see a folder called Previz Moves. Do you guys use that with Kali a little bit? Okay. So these files are they contain, if you want to see a list like this, instead of the big icons, just change the display option here. So these files contain the mesh, the skeleton, and the character. Okay. So technically, you could just go blue button and load character animation, or you could use story mode, because you could just drag and drop this file on story mode. So let's do story mode. Let's just do a simple story mode today. So that's one option, using story mode. The other option is you can go file. If you want multiple takes in your scene, let's say a jog and a back fist, and you have to do it outside of story mode. Okay, you'll see what I mean in a second. So if you go blue button, file, load, we have to navigate to this folder, where this folder is, unfortunately. You go, I believe it's, just let me pause because, okay, so we just navigated to the folder where the previous moves are. If you want to copy the path of this folder, you hold down Shift on your keyboard, you right click, and you'll get this option, copy as path. Okay? So it will basically, I'm just going to load up Notepad. You can do this for any file. If you paste it, you will see the full path. Okay? So that's already in the, we don't need to do this actually in the asset because that's already in the favorite path. It's already hooked up. So what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to load two motions, okay? So I'm going to load back fist. See, this folder is the same contents as this. So I'm just, the reason I have to go there is because I'm loading a character animation not through story mode. The advantage of this, loading it like this, you're going to have multiple takes, and each take will be the different motion you loaded. In story mode, you have all the clips on one track, okay? And when you bake it, it's all going to be on one take. So it depends what you do, what you want to do. If you want to just preview the motions, you do file load, the blue button file load. If you want to just start building your stuff, do it in story mode. Is it clear? Is it, yeah? That's confusing. Okay. You'll see what I mean in a bit. So I'm going to choose these first two, backfist and bat, so you can do multiple selection. You're going to get a bunch of options here. The only thing you need to change is this one, plot to control rig. Okay. Other stuff, retarget, copy, sometimes it gives you flaky results. What plot to control rig does, it takes the input file and just bakes everything on the control rig that you have in your scene. So you're going to get good results. Change that to plot to control rig, keep everything else, don't worry about it. So now it loaded the two files. We still have the Mixamo take. It left it all alone because that's T-pose, doesn't overwrite it. But it loaded a backfist. By the way, if you want to just get rid of the mode here, the control rig, if you just want to see your mesh, you can go display and normal. Actually, no, there's three modes. There's normal, X-ray, and models only. Models only is just a mesh. It depends on you, your preference. I usually work like this, and I pick from the picker. So it's up to you. So, but that's the way you activate it. The shortcut for this is Control A, so you can cycle through all these three modes individually. It's the same function. So now we have backfist, bat swing on separate takes. Okay? So that's one way of loading the motion. Blue button, file load. Okay? The other way, I'm going to go back to the T-pose. The other way it is through story mode, like we saw before. So go in story. You right-click on the gray space, insert, character animation, choose the character, and I'm going to go back to asset browser. You don't need to navigate an explorer to anywhere. Because these, like I said, all these characters have a character in them, you could just drag and drop on story mode. So you go drag, drop, drag, and drop. Okay. Let's put them back to back. If you deselect and press A, it will zoom in to all the clips in your scene. So now you're gonna tell me I don't see anything. Anybody knows why? Exactly. So I'm just gonna change my timeline 164 so we see all the animation. Enable it, and now we see both motions. Cool. Anybody remember how to move that second clip? You can either move the second clip or the first clip. Anyone remember how? Nobody. So if you want to move one of these clips in space, you need this guy. It's a weird name, show hide ghost. Just think of Photoshop. When you think of Photoshop, you will see the icon. And just click on it to activate it. And now if you select one clip, you will get the if you already have the translation on, you will see it in the viewport. So now make sure that your frame, your current frame is during that clip that you want to move. Because let's say you're here, okay, and you want to move this one. You start moving it. Hey, why is it not moving? Oh, because my timeline is on the first clip. Okay, so now if you go to the second clip, he's already moved because you actually moved it, but you didn't see it because your frame was off. Your frame was on the first clip. So just make sure your current frame is where on the clip that you want to move. I did that a few times when I first started learning it 10 years ago. I was like, ah. So just make sure you do that. So yeah, you could just eyeball it for now. I'll show you the more advanced stuff later. It's not a big deal. But you could just eyeball it and get him in the right position from the previous clip. Okay, it's close enough. So that's it. I'm gonna create. I don't want to override the T-pose. I want to leave it just in case we need to go back to it. Actually, I'm gonna save. So I'm not gonna save on top of the character just to stay organized. I'm gonna go up and save it in NMs. So I'll call it maybe week 1, if you want. Week 1 assignment. Where? I keep misspelling assignment every time. Okay. Then you could just plot it. If you want to start, let's say, editing, you're finished with the blocking or the positioning of the two clips. You make sure you're in full body, this guy. Don't use this guy. Just use these two, the blue, full body, and the body part. So make sure you're on full body. Select a piece of the character, a body part. Go in here, key controls, and then go animation, plot selected. Okay. Oh, I just overrode the Mixamo. That's fine. Okay. We should have created another empty take and plotted on that one, but that's fine. So now if you deactivate, see the T-pose is gone because the Mixamo take will have the T-pose, and we have the two new animations. So that's the assignment next week. I just want you to, if you have a character, load it up in Mixamo and do the same. If you want to use this one that I provided from previous classes, you could use that one. Or you can use one of the Mixamo characters and download some motion from there too. I can show you that as well, how to do that. It's similar process, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah. Before I show you that, so I'll show you how to add a favorite path here, because we have these motions here, and we have stuff on the S drive. Okay. I'm just gonna wait for the video. Okay, so if you want more samples, more mocap of this, like this, in the asset browser, you can add another folder. So if you go right-click anywhere on an empty space anywhere, add favorite path, and navigate to computer S 3D CG animation, my name, samples, anims. Actually, you know what? Keep it on samples, because it will give you all the subfolders. It's going to be easier because we're going to be using these. You're going to be using the C3D when we capture stuff from Mocap. We're going to put it there. There's a bunch of characters, props, the sets too, if you want to use sets. It's not a recommendation. It's not a must-have for the previs. You don't need to use set, but if you want to be fancy, you can use one of the sets there, or you can download something from online. So Genestrella samples, click OK, and then you will have the samples folder. So if you open that up, anims, another anims folder, open that up. You get a female folder. Just be patient with it. It takes a while to load up. So there's a bunch of female mocap walks, runs. There's some generic stuff in here too, and there's some male stuff too. So all these you can load them the same way we just loaded the back fist and the swing. The same way. You can either load it from the blue button or the story mode if you want to start stitching stuff. Okay, so if you want to use a character from Mixamo, you like something there. I believe we have to go browse characters. Oh yeah, okay. So Mixamo, browse characters, or just switch to the characters. Which one do you guys like? Zombie? Zombie. Is that a zombie? That doesn't look like a zombie. Oh, this I guess good. Like this guy. It's got character, textures, and really. Let's go for it. So this guy, you can just you do the same thing. He's already in T-pose, everything. So you just need to download it and put some motion on it. But let's say you want some motion from Mixamo. Okay? You want to download motions from Mixamo. You go in animation, you apply walk. Oh, zombie walk. There you go. He's a moving. So you apply the motion that you want in Mixamo. You click download. Format FBX, 30 frames, width scan, and keyframe reduction, none. Just keep it like that. There is some settings here you can play with if you want to get maybe a faster one or change the arms. You can play with it. I'm not gonna go too crazy in it. You can have fun with it. You can mirror it too. That's pretty good. And download. And now it should be, oh, it's still downloading. Perfect. So we're gonna have half an hour to practice. Sorry, it's not that much, but I think it's pretty basic. You guys should be okay for the next, well, for this assignment anyway. Okay, it's done. Okay, so we're gonna load this one. Just gonna save this. Actually, you can add a favorite folder here too. You want to put downloads, add favorite path, downloads, and ooh, it's a big one. I think it's this one. So now if you drag this in the viewport, go file open always. Merge will actually, well, if you want two characters, that's the way to merge it. So if you can go file merge and take one, I believe. Yeah. Oh, take one has no motion. Merge all takes. Okay, you know what? It's getting messy, so I'm just gonna open up a new scene. Anyways, that's a way to merge two characters. You have to, instead of open, file open, you go file merge. File open, all takes. So you have the T-pose on one, take one, and the motion is on the second one. Look at that, textures and everything. Beautiful. So again, by default, it's on models mode. If you want to see the skeleton, X-ray. So anybody remembers how to get a control rig? Please? Yeah, from where? Blue button? No, which tab? Which tab? First, let's start with the tabs. Yes. Yeah, asset browser, yeah. So asset browser, where? Templates, characters, you got it. And then, character? Yes. As long as it's a skeleton, right? Don't drop it on the mesh because it's useless. God damn it. Okay. Characterize. Biped. And then we have our character here. So we're going to call him zombie. Go in navigator. So now you have character. You select it. Rename zombie. You have it here. And then, so right now, what's driving this character? Anybody? The skeleton. How do you switch to the control rig with baking the keys on the control rig? Baking the keys from the skeleton to the control rig. Blue button. Then bake. Yes. And always choose the three dots. Because it's the first time you're activating the control rig. Constant, it saves your option the first time. If you uncheck constant key reducer, it's going to stay off. So it will save that for you. Then you go plot. Make sure plot on frames, 30 frames. Boom. That's it. Now you have a control rig with the motion. It actually loops because if you go in front view, so this site is perfect for games because you can, if you want to see it looping, this guy here, just uncheck it. It's looped. Yeah, it's looped. See, first and last frame is the same. That's game animation. So it loops perfectly. So now all the motion is on the base layer. If you go in layers here, animation layers, this is extra stuff. So I'm just gonna go for 2 more minutes and then it's done. Let's say, see the arms here are passing through, right? So if you guys want to tweak that on a layer, if you want to take the extra step, you create a layer. You go to your first, or maybe the frame that it's passing through, like this one. You go in body part, because you're only changing the arms. You don't need to change anything else. You move it out a little bit. Okay. You press K, or key in animation for Maya, it's S. Then you move the other one a little bit too, because you don't wanna move the right arm too much. You wanna still retain some of the mocap, right? You don't wanna break the mocap too much. So instead of moving this one out, you move both a little bit out, so you retain a lot of the mocap. That's the better way of working with mocap, because you retain underneath what the mocap was doing in the first place. Okay. Just a little bit. Press K. So now it's better. So I'm not sure if you went through layers in Maya a little bit, but now if you want to see the difference between the base and your modified layer, you could just mute that layer. See? It's not bad. It's better, right? Everything else stays the same except the arms, because you only keyed in body part the arms. Cool. That's it. That's your assignment for next week. Render. It's pretty simple. So if you go File, Render. I don't think you guys have QuickTime installed anymore. Okay, we don't have it. So yeah, the only option is AVI. You guys have Premiere, you have Adobe Encoder. You guys know how to use it? Okay. So render. I'm going to choose my folder that I created just to stay organized. I'll create another folder called render. And week 1. Yeah, AVI. I believe, well, let's try it. Total frames 122. Okay, so we'll go through these settings next week when we do the camera stuff. Don't worry too much. As long as it renders from the camera, I can see what the animation, the mocap is. It's fine. Leave everything by default. Render. Do uncompressed. And then we use, I would like you to use MPEG on Moodle because it's way faster. Doesn't take, because we have a limit, I believe, 500 megs, something like that. Yeah, for Moodle. Yeah. So render, mobile render, walk. That's it. So now if we, how big is this? Wow, okay. So now if we go encoder, you guys have a specific MPEG-4 we're using for other classes or nothing? MP4. Okay, choose that. I think it's. I'll see what's available. Sorry. I think by default it gives you H.264. Oh yeah. Okay. Um, where is it? Match source. Oh, it's here. All right. Okay, well, keep it at, it's by default, you don't have to choose anything. H.264 is fine. And then, let's see if it's gonna work. Impact 4, wow, from 90 to 4. Good. C'est tout.